There is a man worth over $190 billion, and you probably have no idea who he is. According to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index as of December 2025, that number is actually $203 billion. He does not build rockets. He doesn't write software. He sells you the illusion of exclusivity. You walk into a high-end mall. You see Christian Dior. You see Louis Vuitton. You see Celine, Givenchy, Bulgari, and Tiffany. You think you are looking at fierce competitors, heritage brands fighting for your dollars. You are not. You are looking at a monopoly of prestige. You are looking at LVMH, Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy. Over 75 distinct brands spanning fashion, watches, jewelry, perfumes, wines, and spirits. They are all controlled by one man. Bernard Jean-Etienne Arnault. In the business world, they do not call him an innovator. They call him the Terminator. And if you want to understand how the global luxury market was quietly hijacked by a civil engineer from Roubaix, France, you have to look at the bodies he left behind. Let us go back to 1984. Arnault had graduated from École Polytechnique in 1971 and was working in his father's construction firm, Ferré-Savinel. He sees an opening in the luxury market, but he does not start a brand from scratch. He targets a bankrupt textile conglomerate called Boussac Saint-Frère. Boussac happened to own the Christian Dior brand. To buy it, the Arnault family put up just $15 million of their own money. They partnered with the investment bank Lazard Frères, who supplied another $45 million. But Arnault needed the French government to approve the takeover. He convinced them to hand him the keys and the associated government subsidies, based on a strict promise. He told them he would protect the workers' jobs. He technically bought the bankrupt empire for a ceremonial 1 franc. Translation? The government gave him a bailout to save jobs. Within 2 years, Arnault fired 9,000 workers. He sold off the disposable diaper divisions. He sold off the textile divisions. He kept Christian Dior and the Le Bon Marché department store, and he left the French labor unions enraged. This was the birth of the Terminator. He made a promise, he secured the asset, and then he gutted the company to extract the luxury margins. As Arnault himself said, luxury goods are the only area in which it is possible to make luxury margins. He also said, a good product can last forever. What he did not say is that the people who make those products are entirely disposable. By June 3, 1987, the modern LVMH holding company was officially created. It was a merger between the Louis Vuitton faction and the Moet Hennessy faction. The two founding families thought that by combining, they would become too massive for a hostile corporate raider to take over. They were looking for threats from the outside. They failed to realize the raider was already inside the house. Shortly after the merger, the Louis Vuitton and Moet Hennessy factions started fighting for control. Henri Racamier, the president of Louis Vuitton, needed an ally. He looked around and invited Bernard Arnault in as an investor to back him up. If you invite the Terminator into your house to help you win an argument, you are going to lose your house. Arnault secretly formed an alliance with the rival Moet Hennessy faction instead. By 1988, he was aggressively buying up LVMH shares. By January 1989, Arnault secured a blocking minority in LVMH. This gave him the legal leverage to take over the entire conglomerate. He systematically stripped Henri Racamier, the man who invited him in, of all his power. Arnault seized absolute control and ousted the original founding leadership. This is the LVMH playbook. Exploit internal weakness, secure a blocking position, and ruthlessly eliminate the founders. He spent the next decade eating up heritage brands. Celine in 1987, Givenchy in 1988, Kenzo and Berluti in 1993. But he hit a brick wall in the late 1990s. The target was Gucci. Arnault discreetly amassed a 5% stake in the rival Gucci group before anyone even noticed. He kept buying, eventually building his stake up to 34.4%. Gucci called it a creeping takeover. They knew exactly what Arnault was doing because they had watched him do it to Louis Vuitton. Domenico De Sole, the CEO of Gucci at the time, decided to fight back. He found a legal loophole and issued millions of new shares to an employee stock option plan. He deliberately diluted Arnault's stake, poisoning his own company's stock value just to keep Arnault out. It worked. From 1999 to 2001, the Gucci war raged, ending with LVMH backing down. A rival conglomerate, PPR, stepped in as a white knight and took a major stake in Gucci. Arnault lost that battle, but the war for absolute control of the luxury market continued. He learned that hostile takeovers are messy, so he pivoted to massive, overwhelming cash buyouts. In 2011, LVMH acquired the Italian jeweler Bulgari for $6.01 billion in an all-share deal. 2 years later, in 2013, he swallowed an 80% stake in the Italian textile brand, Loro Piana. Every time you buy a high-end cashmere sweater or a luxury watch, the money flows upward to the exact same bank account. As Arnault famously said, if you control your distribution, you control your image. And he controls everything, even the engagement rings. Which brings us to the bloodiest corporate acquisition of the modern era, Tiffany Co. LVMH agreed to buy the American jeweler before the world shut down. But then the COVID-19 pandemic hit. Retail stores closed globally. Arnault watched Tiffany continue to pay shareholder dividends while the stores were shut down, and he was reportedly furious. LVMH tried to kill the deal. They attempted to walk away, citing a trade dispute between the French government and the Trump administration. Translation: LVMH saw the market crashing and tried to use geopolitical excuses to get out of paying full price. Tiffany Co. sued LVMH to force the sale. LVMH sued right back. It was a bitter legal standoff that dragged through the pandemic. Finally, on January 7, 2021, the deal officially closed at $15.8 billion, or $131.50 per share. LVMH managed to negotiate a slightly lower price, making it the largest luxury brand acquisition in history. Fast forward to 2026. The post-pandemic luxury boom is dead. The market is contracting. In January 2026, LVMH reported their 2025 earnings. Total revenue dropped 5% to 80.8 billion euros. Net profit landed at 10.9 billion euros. The macroeconomic climate is shifting and European spending is cautious. Arnault knows the narrative is turning. During that January 2026 earnings call, he stated, "With the continuing geopolitical crises, with economic uncertainty and the policies of certain states, I think there is reason to be a little cautious." When a man worth $203 billion tells you to be cautious, you should probably ask what he is buying next to protect himself. The answer is media. In that same month, January 2026, LVMH finalized the 100% acquisition of the media group Les Éditions Croque Futur. This group controls key scientific and economic publications. Arnault is expanding his strategy to own prestigious media mastheads alongside his luxury goods. If you control your distribution, you control your image. If you control the economic publications, you control the narrative about your own wealth. Inside the company, Arnault is shuffling his generals as the market cools. He recently elevated Pietro Beccari to executive chairman of the LVMH fashion group to bolster brand agility for the rest of 2026. But the real crisis inside LVMH is not revenue, it is succession. Arnault's mandate as CEO was recently extended to age 85. He was born on March 5, 1949. He is not going to live forever. Financial analysts and institutional investors are openly voicing concerns over the company's governance risks. All 5 of Arnault's children hold key roles within the conglomerate. There is no transparent, long-term succession roadmap. The investors are pushing back because they know exactly what happens when a powerful family empire loses its patriarch without a clear heir. They saw what happened to the Louis Vuitton and Moet Hennessy families when they started fighting. That infighting is exactly what allowed Bernard Arnault to walk through the door and take everything from them in 1989. He built his empire by exploiting succession crises and family weakness. Now his investors are watching his own 5 children, waiting to see who gets the keys to a $200 billion machine, and wondering if the exact same thing is about to happen to him.